All right. I've been talking about the 12 powers. We have been talking about the 12 powers now for, I think this is our 8th week. And the 12 powers, they're the gifts that we come into this life with. They're already here. They're right there. We don't have to take special workshops. We don't have to be given permission to use them. We don't need to get an attunement for them. We don't have to do anything. They're just already there, and we just bring in our awareness of them, and that's how we start using them. So far, we've talked about faith, strength, wisdom, love, power, imagination, and understanding. And basically, with the 12 powers, what we're doing is we are calling forth our wholeness. The wholeness is already there. There's wholeness within us. So we're calling it forth. So we step into it. We step into our centered self, into our Christ consciousness. And you know what Louise Hay likes to say, every day in every way, we just get better and better at it. So what we're doing with the 12 powers is we are hacking a fear program that's running. Okay, remember, we did not come to this planet with fear. Fear is not part of our divine program. The Apostle Paul said, God did not give us the spirit of fear, but the spirit of love and power and good discipline. So fear, it's a program we picked up. It's a computer virus. And the 12 powers help us to hack that program. We're teaching our minds to be receptive to spiritual communication and guidance. So we hear the wisdom and the understanding, and we act on it. We become solution oriented. So we're not stuck in the problem. We don't get stuck in the fear. Instead, we are focused on creating what we do want. We focus on the good that we want to bring into our lives. We focus on the solutions. We are taking our focus off of what we don't want, right? All the problems. So we have a big list of things we would say no to, right? No to this, no to this, no to this. Well, that's a good place to start. We figure out what we don't want. But then we have to do the next thing, which is figure out what do we want instead of the no, right? So that then we pivot our attention onto the yes. So we're focusing on what we would say yes to. And so this is where the power of will comes in. Will with a capital W. Okay, we're talking divine will. We're not talking personal will. Okay, from our little adversary, our little me, right? The little ego that just wants to keep us stuck in fear, making all of our choices based on fear. Will with a capital W, divine will, helps us to stop looking at all the stuff that scares us and instead focus on solutions. So will is the ability to decide, right? We have a choice, the no's or the yeses. We have the ability to decide, and then we choose the yeses. Okay, send that away. Now also we lead. Okay, we decide, we choose, we lead. We're setting an example of what's possible through our activity, what's possible when we surrender to divine will and make choices based on understanding. Now I see a partnership between will and imagination. Now, imagination is where the formless takes form, right? It's where we're making blueprints for things. I had a really nice conversation with Don a couple of weeks ago, and he's a master gardener, and he says, yeah, I see what I'm building, I create it in my head first. That's exactly what we do. We create a blueprint in our head. Whether we want to rearrange our living room or build a rabbit hutch or plant a garden or something huge, right? But we're building it in our head first. So through the imagination, the formless takes form. We're imagining things, and then that changes what we do next. But our imagination can be all over the place. If we're seeing the scary things in our life, the pandemic, we're seeing like crazy government things, politics, we might get all caught up in that and we just can spin out. When we stay focused on that, we can be so overwhelmed, we can feel crushed. We might be thinking with everything that's going on, what can I do? What can one person do about all this, right? What can I do all on my own? Well, what we do changes depending on what we're focused on. Are we focused on the no's? Are we focused on the yeses? Because if we're focused on the no's, that's going to give us a different bit of information, and we'll do differently based on the no's. If we're focused on the things that scare us, if we're making our decisions based on fear, what we do next is different than if we're focused on the yeses and we're making our decisions based on love. So our imagination is creative. We're creating from fear or love, and it's divine will. Divine will. We surrender our personal will, okay, the little me. We surrender our personal will. We move away from fear, and we take in divine will. We decide to act from divine will, which is love. Then we've got will with a capital W. This is a directive. It is a command. It decides. Look here. Not there. Look at your yeses. Not your nose. Stop. Whoa, over here. Look at your yeses. Look at the yeses. I like to think about the first command ever in our stories, right? The first command in stories that we know of is let there be light. That's the very first command that we know about, right? Let there be light. It implied there was a decision, dark, light. So the universe made a choice, light. Okay, so there was the choice, it made light, it gave the command, a directive, let there be light. And then there was light. There was light. It didn't go like this. Okay, dark, light. Okay, light. Light would be good. I could see everything. Let there be light. Did that look like enough light? Is it kind of still dark over here? Do I need a little more light over here? Okay, the universe didn't do that. It just gave a directive, yet that's what we do all the time. We have our let there be light moment, right? We think in our imagination, we know exactly what we want to create. And so there's the big things and there's the little things. They're all our let there be light moments. Okay, whether it's I want to move to a bigger house, or I want to move to a smaller house. I want to get a better night's sleep. I want to have increased vitality. I want to hang out with my friends more. I want to start a business, write a book. I want to feel more supported, right? So we have these things, our let there be lights, right? So here's our let there be light. But then we've also got all our reasons why we can't have that. Here's all our reasons why, right? It's this big. It's this big, right? Sure, I want a house. Finding a house is hard. And I hate moving. It's dreadful to have to move. Doing all that packing and cleaning is dreadful. I'm so tired. Why am I so tired all the time? I need some rest. Who am I to think I can write a book? I can't even get inspired right now, right? Because there's so many scary things happening. Why didn't I start a business a year ago? Why didn't I do that? Forget it. It's too late. It's too late. That's what we do. We create our beautiful let there be light, and then we have our reasons why. Okay, will is the directive. It's like stop thinking about this and pivot. Pivot, come over here and think about this. Think about this. So will is our ability to decide the no's, the yeses. We make a choice, the yeses, and command it. Let there be light. The location in the body, the center for will, is in the middle of our brain. And the disciple for will is Matthew. Okay, I got to move my notes here, but I don't want Ellen to see yet. Ellen's sitting next to me. I don't want her to know who the Harry Potter character is, right? Not yet. It's got to be a surprise to everybody. But Matthew is the disciple that represents will. Now, he wasn't actually the first disciple, although, when we talk about the disciples, we usually go Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, blah, 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 right? That's what we do. Most of us, anyway. That's what I do, because I can't remember Bartholomew and Peter. So Matthew, Jesus decided, I'm going to invite Matthew to be a disciple. Peter Peter didn't know if that was such a good idea because Matthew is a tax collector. And back then, nobody likes tax collectors. Like people felt about tax collectors how we feel about other people's politicians, right? So nobody liked tax collectors. But what Jesus said to Peter was, anyone who chooses to follow me will always receive greater good. What Jesus was saying is that when we give a wholehearted surrender to a life where we choose from fear, okay, a life where we were living in limitation and lack, and we can live in lack and limitation and be rich too, right? It's not about the money, it's about how we feel in our life. So what we're doing is we're surrendering the life that has all the limitations and restrictions, all the blocks. We surrender that, we let it go, and we fully step into a new life where our beliefs support us. And that's what Matthew was willing to do. Matthew was willing to surrender a life where he made good money. He surrendered that life to follow Jesus so he could learn. But he wanted to learn what Jesus was teaching. Because you know what? Jesus' people, they were happy. They were happy. They knew something. Okay, so we surrender our personal will to divine will. This is how we get to express the next brightest version of ourselves. Now, the Harry Potter character, here we go. I wish I could have a drum roll. It's Sirius Black.
Oh.
Sirius Black. I'll tell you why. Sirius came from a really bigoted family. His family, they were not nice people. They were not nice. They were purebloods and they were snooty and they considered themselves wizarding royalty. And they aligned with the evil villain Voldemort because Voldemort was about wizard purity, right? So they were aligned with Voldemort. When Sirius was 16 years old, he even ran away from home because he just decided that he couldn't do that. How they were living their life was wrong. Sirius could also change with his intention and will. He could change into a big black dog. This was called an animagus. So he could, at will, at choice, he could just change into this big black dog. Now, when he was 20 years old, his best friend, Harry Potter's dad, and his wife, Lily, they were murdered by Voldemort. Sirius ended up getting arrested and framed for the murder of some other people. And he went off to this terrible prison called Azkaban. Did I say that right?
Yeah.
Azkaban. Okay. I see Diane nodding too. She's like our other Harry Potter, like aficionado here. Okay, so he went to Azkaban. He was there for 12 years. Now, this was a terrible prison because it was guarded by these beings called Dementors. The Dementors would suck all the joy out of you. Like if they just hung around you, they would suck all the joy out of you. And then all you could hear in your head were the most dreadful things that ever happened to you. So you can imagine the prisoners in Azkaban, they were insane, or they were just like in a vegetative state. So they weren't really worried about people escaping because of all the Dementors. Well, Sirius Black ended up, he made it through. Okay, he made it through. He didn't go crazy. And after he'd been there 12 years, he even escaped Azkaban. Now, he did two things that nobody had ever done. He escaped, and he didn't go insane while he was there. Now, the Dementors, because they suck all the joy out of you, right? And you're just full of dread and negativity. There is a charm that people can use. It's called the Patronus charm, and you have to have your wand to do it. But the Patronus charm is made from your happiest memory that you've ever had, and it will repel the Dementors. Sirius didn't have his wand, so he couldn't use the Patronus charm. But what Sirius did have was the truth. And the truth was that he was innocent. He didn't commit the crime he was there for. So he had the truth, and he could transform into a dog at will. And that's how he was able to stay sane. Okay, so he escaped Azkaban. But I got to looking at Azkaban as a metaphor for our own self-induced prison. Our own self-induced prison. Azkaban, it's a prison that creates fear and hopelessness, right? Fear and hopelessness. Some of us, I think, can resonate to that sometimes. Now, we also have in our lives right now, we have these creatures who are intentionally spreading fear and hopelessness in our population. There are people intentionally doing this, spreading fear among the masses. This is what the Dementors did to the prison. In fact, this is what Voldemort did to the wizarding population in general. Now, what happens is that the more we focus on what those creatures are spreading, the more we lose our own joy. And then we sink into hopelessness. That's when we start feeling overwhelmed. But see, we still always have our truth, not the media's truth, right? Which is subjective. We have our truth, which is God is all. God is everything that's ever been and everything that's yet to be. And because God is everything, that means you, that means me. God is everything, that means me. Do this. And that means me. That means me. Yeah, I can see you. That means me. So we always have that truth with a capital T. Because God is all things, that means anything can be a potential channel for a solution to work through, a bright idea, okay, a way to bring the joy back into our lives. Okay, we don't have to be afraid to be safe in the pandemic. We just have to have common sense. We make good decisions. We don't have to be afraid to do that because God is everywhere present, right? We're open to the ideas, the solutions, bringing more joy into our lives, bringing more joy. Now, there's another character from Harry Potter that I want to introduce because he's kind of the opposite of what Sirius is, right? Sirius is Will, but his dear friend is Remus Lupin, and Remus is a professor teaching the dark arts at Hogwarts. Remus Lupin struggles because every month he is turned into a werewolf and he can't control it. It controls him. Now, Sirius can control when he turns into a dog or not. And while Sirius is a dog, he totally knows the whole time that he's a dog. And then he decides when he wants to go back into human form. When Remus turns into the werewolf, he loses who he is. He forgets. He could even harm somebody that he really loved while he was a werewolf. He has no control over the werewolf nature. So it seems like Remus doesn't have free will, right? He doesn't, not when he's a werewolf. When we are struggling, right, and we're not working in the 12 powers, we might think that we have free will. But if we are reacting to the world, if we are in fear and hate and resentment and feeling the lack, the limitation, the blocks, the restrictions, we will get stuck in a mental tendency and we'll have the same reaction over and over and over again without our conscious participation. This is why you can know somebody who, I mean, we all have this person we know, right? And we'll say, they're always in victim consciousness, right? We know somebody who'll say it and we'll say, we know somebody, right? And this is why somebody in victim consciousness and like, okay, yeah, we go there too. I'll say it. I know, I go there. What the victim consciousness is, it's being victim without thinking about it, just being in it, not knowing there's a choice, right? So I know if I'm in my victim consciousness, somebody could give me a free ice cream cone and I'd say, vanilla, my favorite flavor is mint. The universe hates me, right? That's how I am if I'm in my victim consciousness and I don't think about it. I just am in it, right? So when we are stuck in a mental tendency, it can control us, just like the werewolf nature can control Remus Lupin. All right. So we just have to realize it. We realize it, we become aware of it. Luckily, because when we're not in our Christ consciousness, our centered self, when we are in a consciousness that doesn't serve us, it doesn't feel good. It will never feel good. So if we are not feeling good, I mean, if we're not feeling some peace, some joy, some contentment at the very least, right? If we're feeling scared, if we're feeling stuck, limited, it's like, whoa, God didn't send me here with that. God didn't send me here with that. That's not my divine program. Okay, Sirius understood the choice, the power of choice. Sirius Black understood that. Now there's a scene, and it's only in the movie. It's not in the books. But at the end of, toward the end of the third movie, The Prisoner of Azkaban, Sirius and Remus and Professor Snape, Harry, Ron, Hermione, they're all outside. They're by the Whomping Willow, and the moon starts to rise. Now they've just caught one of Lord Voldemort's little minions. But now the moon is rising. And now Remus, the moon changes him, right? He starts to change. What Sirius does is Sirius grabs him. Like he grabs him, he puts his arm around him and puts his other hand right on his heart, right here. And he says, you know the man you truly are, Remus. This heart is where you truly live. This heart right here. This heart right here. This is where we truly live. I want to get all teary-eyed. It's just so powerful. Now see, Sirius, he knows this very well, and he's trying to get Remus to understand it too. But Remus can't accept it, not from where he is right then and there. Now, this is the power of will, okay? Divine will. We make a decision, the no's or the yeses. Okay, we decide the yeses. We choose the yeses. Okay, now we lead. We lead by example through our activity of choosing. By choosing from love, choosing from kindness, right? Choosing from compassion. We have to do this, right? This is how we change things, because, well, I'll tell you, the last time somebody tried to change my views on something by calling me an idiot, it didn't work. My defensive wall went right up, right? Somebody calls me an idiot about something. I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. You got nothing I need to hear. You got nothing I need to hear. I powerfully changed my mind about something in the last 3 months because of somebody walking this walk. And she was curious, and she was sharing things, and she was open, and she was loving. And I was like, what does she know that's bringing her all this peace? Right? That is how we help others, right? By being the example. I found this Miracles Now card by Gabby Bernstein last week, and it said, I'm not the victim, I'm the lighthouse. I'm the lighthouse. Imagine out in a dark storm, there's a ship, and it's about to come upon the rock of the shore, and the lighthouse, say it's not lit, but say it's just sitting up on the cliff. It's like, hey, are you stupid or something? Don't head toward the rocks. How does that help the ship? We serve as a lighthouse. We serve with love. We serve with love. when we do our very best, when we are making our choices based on understanding, and we're using our imagination in conjunction with wisdom and love, right? Remember, love is spirit giving itself to us and all those beautiful ideas. And it's also seeing God as everywhere present. And it is the good that wants to be created through us. That's love. That's a big cosmic love. That's love the way Jesus loved. Spirit wants to give itself through us. So we now use that in our imagination. We create a blueprint right here for the best outcomes and the beautiful experiences and the solutions, the good things we want to create in our life. Then we use will. And will, right? We're deciding and we're choosing, and we use that with strength and power, right? Strength, it gives us the strength to pivot, right? Away from the nose. Power is we're getting mental mastery, right? Mastery over our thoughts. So then we can pretty soon we can stop like always wanting to go back to the nose, right? So will, using strength and power, we pivot away from the nose and to the yeses, right? We focus on our list of yeses. Yes, yes, yes. This is how we turn it around in our own life. And like for me, it's like I do it a bunch of times during the day, right? I pivot a lot during the day. Was that a no? Oh, I can't do that again. All right. We pivot. This is how we turn it around, having faith in what it is that works through us, for us, as us. That's what we're divinely designed to do. That's what we came here with. Whatever's happening right now, we're divinely designed to thrive. We're designed to thrive right here and right now. We don't have to wait for anything in the world outside of us. We don't have to wait for anything. Well, when it gets better, then maybe I'll write my book, right? No. We are designed to thrive right now. Choosing faith, not fear, not fear, faith. Pivot, pivot. And that's how we are creating heaven on earth. That is how we're doing that. So until next time, remember, you are the activity of spirit in a body. You are the heart and hands of spirit in this world. You are a soul designed for growth and goodness. You are designed to do all of this stuff. In everything you do, you are blessed. And so it is. And so it is. All right, we do